Welcome to this week's edition of Universal Parenting Clinic. On this show today, I'll be discussing the need for all parents to be observant in parenting. Yes, you should be observant. Every parent must develop great observational skills and techniques the moment the issue of parenting a child is involved. There are so many occurrences in the life of every child that will warrant diligence in parenting observation to avoid unexpected accidents and incidents that could lead to parenting tears and failures. With proper observation, you may be able to prevent avoidable accidents. You may be able to support your child in avoiding avoidable errors in life. Before I proceed, let me tell you that it is not anything difficult. I'm not advocating for something impossible. As a parent, you can't afford to be nonchalant in life. You can't afford to sleep or doze off every time. You can't afford to be careless either. Spiritually, physically, and mentally, you must be observant. Your level and degree of observation will vary at different levels of parenting, and what you are observant about may also vary depending on age, sex, location, status, levels, environment, prevailing circumstances, and age. Your observational requirements for a minor may vary from that awareness required for parenting adults. What you may be careful to observe with one child may be different from what you will observe about other children. Your level of observation will definitely be of higher standard if you are parenting a child with disability. As you will see when I make full presentation on the topic of parenting children with disabilities in the future. As your child develops and grows in life, you will realize the demands of developing necessary awareness in his or her growth. For instance, parenting a newborn baby demands that you watch out more carefully about his or her needs on different occasions. The few weeks old baby may not be able to communicate on what is causing the occasional crying, neither will the baby be able to speak to alert you to moments of discomfort and hunger. You may need to be observant to understand when the child is feeling unwell, when your child is hungry, when your child is uncomfortable, and what is causing the child's restlessness. When you need to change the pampers, when you need to breastfeed, when the baby needs proper medication or health checks, when feeding bottle is needed, and when your child has wet his or her pampers may all become a function of your diligent observation. Same goes for the stage of crawling, learning to walk. When the baby starts eating and the stage of moving about, you need to be observant to prevent cases of danger and avoidable injuries. There are a series of circumstances that will also require your good observation as the child grows and develops in life. However, I will deal with the general circumstances that are general with all children. Let me also tell you before I proceed that when you are familiar with your child, your closeness and love for that child will make observation and knowing anything very easy. Same for your familiarity with your wife. You won't even notice how much you know. For instance, I knew when my wife was going to be delivered of her first child effortlessly, and it wasn't long. For instance, on the day of her first child's birth, I had serious idea that is then or very soon. Though we were heading to the church for normal Sunday service, I had everything for the delivery packed and put at the boot of the car because I had noticed after I walked out the night before that certain feelings may be due to developing contraction. Upon getting to church, after the first dance of victory, when I saw her reaction, I quickly guided her out and said it's time to visit the clinic. When the nurse saw us and how elegantly she dressed, she waved away the thought of child coming and said, When you are ready, it will show and you will know. She said it's naivety and anxiety of young expectant couple. She asked us to go back, but I told her I wasn't going anywhere. I knew it was the time or close to that time. I told her it was becoming unbearable and that she should check her out. She went with my wife and she rushed out 10 minutes later and asked me to go quickly and bring the baby things. I just laughed. And when I brought the things out of the car, she just looked at me surprised. 30 minutes later, I carried my first child. We had followed everything they taught us during the antenatal, most of which I attended, and God's grace saw us through. It's nearly the same for the other kids. Though for one of our kids, I had the baby things in my car for 3 days, and I had taken the whole week off from my court dates because I knew it's either 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after the date given. You just need to develop interest in the affairs of your child and family, and with time, you will develop as you go effortlessly. Good and timely observation will open your eyes to the challenges being faced by each child, and you will notice necessary parental needs of such child, because necessary changes must be promptly detected to avoid serious disaster. Just like all adults, children at different levels do face their own challenges in life. Many times, some of these challenges may not be disclosed, and sometimes the child may be ignorant or oblivious of the true state of things. But you can't be at the same level of ignorance, because when the results get to the peak, it will still bounce back to you, the parent. There was a time I observed my kids were looking sleepy in the morning most of the time when they should look active. Upon closer observation, I realized they were sleeping too late due to playing games and chatting with their phones. That marked the end of night usage of phones by them in the house until proper understanding of night usage of phones within acceptable limits. For instance, an unnecessary change in the dietary needs and consumption of your child may mean health issues which must be monitored or reported, especially at infancy. It may also be as a result of developing mental health issues. It may be due to growth. It may be due to drug. It may even be as a result of bullying elsewhere. Certain hormonal changes in the female child or even in the male child may need to be monitored and explained as the child reaches the age of puberty. There was this incident of a girl who was very distressed and undergoing serious menstrual pain at school. She herself couldn't place the source of her pain and stress. She became hysterical and disgusting. Upon questioning, she stated that she's been feeling this pain since she woke up. It was much later, when her clothes was soaked with blood when she stood up, that it became clear it was her first menstruation. The mom probably sensed the signals and ignored the warning sign. You may need to observe the type of friends your child follows. As you must have noticed in the topic of the influence of third parent, if you are observant, you may be quick to discover certain changes occurring in your child, which may be due to his or her movements with a bad gang of friends beginning to have negative influence on your child. Knowing this will help you to put immediate measures in place before it's beyond redemption. Your observation may reveal a sudden change in behavioral pattern and sudden change in object of interest too. If your child is usually exciting and jovial and you discover that he or she suddenly become isolated, withdrawn, pale, and grumpy, it may not be a normal occurrence. Sometimes, with careful observation and discussion with your child, you may discover if this change has been caused by certain occurrence or development, which you must attend to immediately. It may be a sign of peer group pressure. It may be a sign of bad habit like drug intake. It may be due to growth or ill health. It may also be because the child was bullied or scolded, and it may also be just momentary change of mood. The social media involvement and engagement of your child or children must be observed carefully before it develops to irreparable disaster. Many children are left to themselves with too much freedom to do anything at any time and anywhere with anything. It's true, children need space and some levels of freedom. It's however very important that as the parent, you take proper note of several aspects of his or her life so the child doesn't ruin herself or himself. Diligent observation will most times reveal elements of distraction from set goals. And also, very importantly, we identify undesirable elements trying to corrupt that child and make her to become irresponsible in her conduct or in his relationships. There are children who were lured into terrible habits because they became emergency students to undesirable personalities who took pleasure in tutoring the child and tailored the child to their ways of destruction. There have been children who were highly focused and goal-centered, very committed to goal-getting, but who derailed along the line, yet their parents didn't notice until it was out of their hands. The hairstyle, the dress code, the manner of speech, the frequency of outgoings, the late nights, and several others which may vary depending on other variables must be properly observed at regular intervals. The above are few of the several areas of necessary concern that must be monitored so that any unwarranted change can be quickly nipped in the bud before it gets out of hand. You equally need to be observant to monitor the educational developments and academic needs of your child, to be able to assess the level of growth and needs, and to know when the child needs help or when to raise concern for urgent remedy. This is given more attention under the topic of supporting children with career development. Your child's attitude must be well monitored as the child grows. The choice of school, the child's dreams, the child's area of interest, career prospects, and several others can only be detected with careful observation. However, as will be noticed on other topics of discussion on this program, some of the points and roles or topics are interwoven, interrelated, and interconnected, and as such, time, care, knowledge, experience, availability, passion, and parental love are necessary factors and attributes which will enhance your observational skills, awareness, and knowledge. Do you know that a parent staying with their daughter knew nothing about her daughter's pregnancy, even when the minor was 7 weeks positive? The girl tried an abortion pill that failed, upon which the truth became known. I know it's not all pregnancies that shows, and not every lady that will react in set ways, but an observant mother could detect something has been wrong longer before it came to the open. Even despite being a man, I knew from the first few signs that my wife was pregnant the first and subsequent times. The first time I said to her, "I think our baby is here," she laughed. She told me I wanted to be certain and give you as a surprise. I was sorry for spoiling the surprise, but that day we went for a check and the result confirmed we were pregnant. Because we carried the baby together, even though the baby lived in her womb. I'm easygoing, but in those days I was very, very inquisitive and observant. Though people say curiosity kills the cat, but as a parent, there is nothing wrong with being curious with your child. But that doesn't mean you should sniff life out of your child. But if you have any doubt, please, and I beg you, discuss it or give it more careful observation. But don't make life unbearable for either yourself or your child.
In the show. Michael knows everything about parenting, and I'm sure everyone has much to learn about parenting.
Without tears, grab your copy now.
Parenting without tears, just what I was looking for.
I stopped being over inquisitive and over curious the day I jokingly observed that the perfume I perceived from my wife smelled strange. I simply said nonchalantly that she smelled strangely and different from when she left the house. The look she gave me wasn't from the holy heaven. I quickly adjusted my observation as a newly married man. Later, I realized it was the new perfume I bought for her previously as a gift. Experience has taught me to know that most changes develop over a period of time, but sometimes it may be a momentary occurrence too, and lack of clear knowledge of the past position of things through good observation will make it impossible to detect relevant, noticeable changes in the present and the future patterns. There are times your observation will save your child from dangers and pain of life, even at maturity. As I will share on the topic of being a praying parent, sometimes too, you just may need to be spiritually conscious and aware. It may also be social awareness, the places she frequents, the way he or she is spending money. If your child suddenly becomes unnecessarily extravagant, you may want to discuss this with the child. If you discover he is spending recklessly or above his or her income, it may be room to ask further questions because the source of that money may be questionable or criminal, but it may also be genuine. So don't be judgmental. Proper timely observation may, however, show you that your child is in pain or going through serious life challenges, which, if not quickly looked into, may blossom to suicide or mental health issues, or even be the foundation for failure or death. Is he or she having marital challenges or financial crisis? Proper awareness of the telling signs may help you with proper actions, which may prevent him taking to crime, drug, drinks, or devastating frustrations. Your observation also goes beyond focusing on your child and spouse. It includes being generally observant of happenings around the world. I remember the first time I traveled away from home. My parents called me immediately to alert me of certain happenings around that location, which they read in the newspapers and watched on TV. Even while I came back to my base, either of my parents would call occasionally to ask about my welfare due to news of anything happening around the area, with advice to keep safe, ending with prayers depending on the occurrence. Your observation may also involve noticing positive developments in the society or among your friends that you may recognize as necessary for your child too. It may also be things prevailing among youth who are peer groups or age mates of your child, of which you need to make immediate amends or to act swiftly by passing necessary information to your child or put precautionary measures in place. It may be on things relating to information on academics, economics, and social. Clear and necessary observation will definitely make you aware of vital information or notice vital developments on series of things which may be useful in your parenting roles. So, there is no gainsaying the fact that to avoid unnecessary tears in parenting that child, you just have to be observant because a stitch in time saves 9. Please, and I plead with you, as a parent, be observant. Thanks to our numerous friends on Facebook, and thanks to also to those who have subscribed to our YouTube channel. Thanks to those of you that bought the copy of the book Parenting Without Tears. I do hope sincerely that you will join these groups of people. Please subscribe today. That's the show this week on Universal Parenting Clinic. I believe strongly that through this Universal Parenting Clinic, and with proper understanding of the book, Parenting Without Tears. Together, we all can promote wellness in families and in the world. We can stop the tears from children, parents, and families. We can kick racism, fraud, incivility, corruption, wickedness, several addictions, violence, and the series of antisocial behaviors out of all families and the whole world. And at the same time, we can promote all the positive desires and aspirations towards the well-being of the children, parents, and the world at large. Till I come your way again next week, I am the parenting advocate in the house, Michael Benga Bibilari, MGB, Mr. Parenting. Be an observant parent. Think parenting. Be positive in parenting. Talk parenting. Be passionate about parenting. Don't just be a parent. Stop posturing. Be a responsible parent, a real parent, a parent indeed. Parent well.